大家好，本期视频是马来西亚总理安瓦尔·伊布拉辛今年6月接受港媒采访的节选。相比他的前任马哈蒂尔对中国的谨慎态度，安瓦尔对中国的态度更加开放和积极。马哈蒂尔在任内重新审查了之前与中国签订的大型项目，例如“一带一路”相关的东海岸铁路和马六甲深水港项目，认为可能不符合马来西亚的经济利益，或者可能增加国家债务，以至于这些项目被叫停和延期。安瓦尔上任后强调了中国作为马来西亚重要贸易伙伴的地位，对“一带一路”倡议多次表达支持，认为这对地区发展有重要意义，相关的大型基建项目也有所恢复。2023年访华期间，安瓦尔促成的一系列经济合作协议，吸引了超过1700亿林吉特，将近2800亿人民币的中国投资，这反映了他以务实经济利益为导向的对华政策。近15年，中国一直是马来西亚最大的贸易伙伴，双边贸易额在2022年达到了2036亿美元，这个不是一个小数目。要知道，中俄在现在这么密切的能源合作的基础上，双边贸易额也才刚刚达到这个数。安瓦尔强调，在中美之间寻求平衡，不选边站队，奉行中立和不结盟，不做大国的附庸。对于南海争端，他的态度是反对外来干涉，用外交谈判的方式来解决问题，并表示相信中国作为一个千年大国的经验和担当，赢得了网友点赞无数。采访中，当记者问到涉台问题时，安瓦尔明确表示，这不是讨论两个国家的问题，台湾问题是纯粹的中国内政，表现出一种成熟政治家的风范。事实上，他在各种场合多次表态反对任何形式的台独言论或行动，这种明确的态度也赢得了中国的信任，为中马双边关系奠定了稳固的政治基础。说实话，对于高度依赖外贸的马来西亚来说，内政远比外交要复杂，要更难处理。不论俄乌冲突还是巴以冲突，对他们的冲击都非常大。经济不乐观是最头疼的问题，稳住国内局势，发展经济，提高人民生活水平是当务之急。所以安瓦尔的政策是非常务实的，也得到了国内民众的支持。比如这位网友留言说，我是马来西亚华人，虽然很不满意现任政府干的事儿，但是从他们上台后的国情来看，好了很多，好了非常多。极端民族和宗教的那帮人只敢小声嘀咕，不敢大放厥词了，整个网络瞬间清静了很多，这是第一点。第二点，在上台后，他们尝试修复经济问题和贪污腐败，这一点已经很了不起了。对于马来西亚来说，虽然现在各种加税和取消补贴导致做生意的会抱怨外，也没啥其他问题了。第三点，政治方面已经达到了空前的稳定，没有示威游行，没有乱七八糟的蛙跳事件，非常的棒。好了，我们来看看安瓦尔在采访中是怎么说的吧。
Let's dive right into it. We'll talk about China-Malaysia relations. Now, we're marking half a century since China and Malaysia set up diplomatic relations. We have occasions being marked in mainland China, in Hong Kong as well. Now, you have been quite firm in your relations with China that you will not subscribe to, you will not be consumed by the China phobia that seems to have consumed the rest of the world. Now, that's fine, but the thing is, most of this phobia is driven, as you know, by geopolitics between China and the US. And the US is a kind of country where it will not accept neutrality. It's you're with us or you're against us. How does a country like yours, and your government in particular, how do you maintain a balancing act without antagonizing America, but at the same time forming your strategic partnerships?
The intention is never to antagonize anyone, more so America. I mean, it's an important country, trading nation, and it's a superpower. But we take our position. Malaysia is an independent country, and as I've said, and repeatedly so, it is fiercely independent. And Therefore, we will continue to maintain this. Thus far, we are able to navigate it well, but we shall see.
But we are reaching a critical point, as you know how toxic geopolitics is at the moment, right? There's literally a campaign from the US and its allies to suppress China, to contain China, and there's a lot of vilification. Now, you have been quite pragmatic about doing business with China, which makes a lot of sense. And for example, with Huawei, and you're willing to allow them to participate in Malaysia's 5G rollout. But again, Huawei is another company that has been, Chinese company that has been accused of spying, accused of loading its content with ulterior motives. Now, you and I know in this part of the world that when it comes to Huawei, and it comes to companies like, say, TikTok, for example, the banning of TikTok, a harmless platform where children upload videos of themselves dancing is being banned in the US. So considering all this, it's all about suppressing China tech. We know that. But that is not how it's presented in the rest of the world, especially in the Western-dominated narrative, right? So aren't you at least concerned? Now, you have been quite, even to the point of being defiant, that Malaysia, you will do what's best for Malaysia. Are you not concerned about sanctions, about retaliation by America? They have given you hints before, right, if not threats.
We continue to engage, but enough of this hectoring and condescending attitude. So far, the region, particularly ASEAN, seems to be generally smart, navigating based on our own interests. We listen, we are prepared to continue to engage, but we will not be subjected to any unilateral action. And if they have compelling evidence to suggest that any company or any country is causing mischief, then all right, they should adduce evidence. But otherwise, we will not succumb to that sort of a pressure. It is no longer neo-imperialism or colonial rule. We are an independent nation, prepared to accept the stark new realities. What more during the post-normal times? I mean, it's precisely the issue. I'm not going to say is simple, but that seems to be our position. And thus far, we have not encountered serious problems.
Where would you characterize your relations at this juncture regarding China, and what are your plans for future in terms of your partnership with China?
With China, I should say that has been good, and I value that. And we have agreed to exceed and expand these relations into various fields. That will benefit, of course, both countries, but more so even Malaysia. Digital, energy, additional training, AI, in all fields. And I would say that the relations has been great because China is willing to accommodate and listen, and some of our concerns about training, about getting Malaysians to be involved more so, all these things are being considered. If the issue is raised in past, some countries, including say Africa or even in Malaysia in the past, they say the deal was not rather lopsided. I think the problem is governance. If you consider other interests, then you fall prey to whatever excesses. But we take our position very clearly, and I am, of course, impressed with the fact that the Chinese leadership support this, and they value this sort of friendship, frank exchanges, and we even make sure that our demands in terms of to protect our interests is met.
It's not all such a rosy picture, though, is it? I mean, because of, let's take, for example, China's maneuvers in the South China Sea. Now, of course, China is protecting its territorial integrity, and it's asserting itself regarding its territory. Every country does that. But so does Malaysia. Malaysia has territorial integrity to protect as well. And there can be a little bit of a problem there.
Well, we have problems all, neighbors.
Do you have like a bottom line? Currently, where China is regarding the South China Sea and where your country stands, you have some kind of bottom line that you can't cross this?
Well, let me put it this way. Why this obsession, the tendency to exaggerate the problem, border issues with China, when we in Malaysia, or the Thais, or Brunei, or Indonesia, all have problems with the neighbors. We have not actually cemented agreement in all areas with the borders, but does it mean that it is tension and that it is tense? or causing difficulty in relations. No. The relation with Singapore is super excellent, with Thailand, with Indonesia. But all these countries, we have problems with the borders. So why then pick and choose and exaggerate the issues with China? Do we have a problem? Yes. Have we encountered any serious clashes or problems? No. Do we think this is going to be easily resolved? No. But what is the mechanism? It's discussions, dialogue. Will we then concede? No. You see? But what I am, should say, not amazed but appalled, is this idea of, yes, we have a problem with China only. And that is, of course, what is, to me, untenable and unacceptable.
Now, I do accept your point about not exaggerating the problem, not making it worse than it is, right? But at the same time, you do realize that in this region, take Taiwan for example, right? There are circumstances that may be beyond anyone's control where a war could well break out. There is only so much of provocation that Beijing can take as far as its territorial integrity is concerned and its strong feelings about Taiwan. These may be well beyond your control or beyond ASEAN's control, and this is mostly with the US in particular, but it's going to drag the whole region into some kind of conflict. You may well, I know you propagate neutrality, but you may well end up having to make a choice. You may well have to end up picking a side. Whose side will you take?
Well, China and Taiwan, we're not dealing with two countries.
Of course not.
We
yes.
accept
Beijing and
China
Taiwan.
policy. So it's a different configuration. And therefore, our position is it should be seen to be purely a domestic matter that must be resolved, of course, peacefully and amicably between the two entities. Because we have recognized, the world generally have recognized one China policy. And therefore, we have to caution other partners, including the United States, not to be deemed, to be seen to be provocative, because it will affect us invariably. Now, whether we will be neutral in this conversation, it depends. If those who have the propensity or deemed to be provocative, then of course we'll have to voice out our concern. But as it stands, I think even this issue is being exaggerated. I've heard it for the last 50 years. I'm not
not worried?
Too unduly worried. I'm more optimistic. I understand, I know the concern and also the responsibility and magnanimity of many of the Chinese leaders. They know how to navigate the situation. For thousands of years they've been there. So we need to caution. That is why in ASEAN we have insisted the issue of not only neutrality. I mean, neutrality is our position so that we can engage, but it doesn't mean that we are not concerned on the issues of what is right, what is wrong. We have made it quite clear that we do not want any third power to be involved in these commissions because it will only be deemed to be provocative. For example, we have some arrangement, territorial waters with the United States. We have with China, we have with Japan, but we do limit within Malaysia's territorial waters to protect the nation, not to be seen to be on the offensive against any other neighboring country.